If you're a man, everything is your fault. I know it might seem like I'm joking, but I'm not. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why, in fact, I am not joking. I'm telling you how you should think as well so that you can be the highest version of a type of a man that you admire and that you respect. And I know that also seems controversial and like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. I'm going to explain. So, everything that happens in your life is your fault. Everything that happens in my life is my fault. And that is because every single time that I decide to blame someone else for absolutely anything that might happen or that happened in my life, I am automatically giving control of my life to that person. Anything. You can think about anything you want. Every single time they think about blaming someone else for something, even if that person is actually to blame, you are also giving responsibility to that person. And by default, you're also giving control to that person. So this is the basis of what I want to tell you. If you take responsibility, means understanding or accepting that everything that happens is actually your fault, you are also automatically, naturally taking control of your life, because you can actually do something about it. Whereas when you think what happened to you is actually someone else's fault, it's their responsibility, and you're also telling yourself that you cannot do anything about it because it's in their hands. You're giving the will to them. So let me give you a simple example first, and then I'll give you a more extreme example, right? Let's suppose for a second that I don't have money in my bank account. That is my fault. And I'll explain why that's my fault. The reason why that's my fault is because I could very well, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, have started a business, a profitable business, that today would be earning me more than enough for me to not have to worry about time or worry about money or worry about anything that I might worry about right now. But I didn't start. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I thought of starting a business. I thought of starting a YouTube channel, and I never did. I just thought about it, but it didn't start. Let's suppose I started a business and then it failed. I couldn't make it to work. And then I blame someone else. I blame the situation that people don't have money, or that my country is bad, poor, economically poor. That's why it didn't work. Therefore, I cannot do anything about it. I can't do anything about it because I'm blaming it. But if I take responsibility and I understand, I can always come up with a solution. The country I'm living in right now has a problem about, and then I come up with a solution to that problem. And I make it accessible enough, cheap enough, so that I can actually sell to the masses instead of to the wealthy people. I'm solving the problem. I'm taking responsibility, therefore I'm taking control. If you don't have a job, that is your fault. And I know that it feels so harsh to say that, doesn't it? It just feels somehow wrong to say that, but it's not, man. And I'm telling you, if you adopt this mindset, everything in your life becomes so easy. So easy, because you also take control. You also understand you're able to change your situation. You change your present moment just by doing different things you're not doing right now. By actions you haven't taken, by habits you haven't started. If you don't have a job, but you already went out to talk to people, talk to companies, talk to bosses to get a job, to pay for your bills. But you blame someone else. You say it's about the country's not doing well, people just don't want you to work. Bro, at the same time that you're blaming someone else for not having a job, you are also giving them the control of your life. Because you can't do anything about it. If it's their responsibility, then it's not your responsibility. It's their responsibility. It's their fault. It's their job. It's their control. But if you say, no, I haven't found a way yet. I haven't found a way yet to get to a company, to get to a person who needs my service, who needs my time. And when I do find that person, I will do my best to get in their company, to get a job. Then you have a lot more peace of mind because you stop blaming someone else. You take accountability as a man and you do what is in your control to get that job. Now, let's suppose you go out once a day and you talk to, 5 companies and you do it for 1 month and you don't get a job. Doesn't matter. Don't blame other people. Instead of going out 5 times a day, go out 100 times a day. Talk to 100 companies every single day. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, if you talk to company after company after company, even though that's going to be hard, and even though you would like to do something else, and even though you're feeling lazy, but you do it anyways, you are showing that that is your responsibility as a man. That is beautiful on your part. And you're showing, you're taking accountability. And that is completely in your control because you can absolutely, definitely go out there and talk to as many people as you can. How can you not? You can. But you don't because you're blaming someone else for your loss. You have responsibility and it is your fault that you look like you have an unattractive body. You don't look the way you would like to look. You look in the mirror and you feel embarrassed. Or you're embarrassed to take your shirt off in front of other people. That is completely and utterly in your control. Because you could have started working out and eating right 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but you didn't. Why didn't you? It's a choice. It's an action that is in your control. So stop blaming Instagram for tempting you into eating trashy food. Stop blaming the businesses that promote hamburgers or candy or chocolate. Stop blaming the candy and pizza itself and start blaming yourself. The moment you start blaming yourself, and as a man, you accept full responsibility and you take accountability for all of the results that happen in your life, is the same moment you can also do something about it. I hope you understand my point because this is very, very important. And most people that you talk about this with, they are going to disagree with you completely. Most men you talk about this with, they're going to disagree completely with that point. And that's why they're never going to get anything worthwhile in life. They're never going to get anything going in life because they're always finding a way to blame someone else for their situation, the government, people around them, time, luck, and they're also giving control of their life to those people. Now, let me give you an extreme example, right? Let's suppose for a second that your wife goes on a boat and that boat explodes. That is your fault. And that is your fault because you could somehow look up what was going to happen in the next couple of hours around that region where the boat was, what type of people that was in that boat. You could look that up. You could have researched that and many other things that are in your control that you could have done. You could have looked that up. Now, I understand that it might be bad for your mental health because you have to understand some things just happen and it's not in your control. And yeah, I agree with that. But the reason why I'm giving this extreme example is just to exemplify that you can take this to an extreme because what matters Is not the situation itself. What matters is the idea, is the mindset that I'm talking about. If you choose to accept responsibility for everything that happens in your life as a man, you're also choosing to take control of your life in every area of your life. And when you feel like you have control of your life, that makes you feel powerful. And that gives you more power. Because as you take control and as you gain results that you want, that's a compound effect. And you start to feel even more confident and more competent because you take accountability and you accept responsibility and you accept the fault is yours. You're the one to blame in the first place. That is the number one prerogative of a man and of a good leader. Accept responsibility, understand, accept that you are the one to blame. Therefore, your life is completely, utterly in your control. Now, let's just suppose for a second that I'm completely wrong, okay? So let's just suppose for a second that everything I'm saying is bullshit. Doesn't make any sense at all. Fine. You're right and I'm wrong. The fact that you're right and I'm wrong, is that somehow going to help your situation? Let's just take it to the other extreme now. Let's say that everything that I'm saying is just bullshit, right? Like, Mihail, some things might happen to you and it's completely not in your control. Why are you saying that? That's going to just be bad for your mental health. And it's not healthy to think like that. That's not true, because things might happen and I might not be expecting, and then everything goes wrong. Like if somebody comes to my house right now and robs my family and attacks me, like how is that in my control? I can't do anything about it. I get it, bro. That makes sense. That makes logical sense. And I can also counter argument that and tell you that you could always, research, see if that is a safe area, or even if that's not, you're not to blame, even if that's not your fault, you should take responsibility and accept that as your fault anyways, because that is going to contribute for you to changing your situation. If you accept that things are out of your control, most times that they're not, then they are in your life. I'm not saying in the world in general, but if you accept that it's other people's fault of what happened to you, how is that going to help you? How is that going to help your situation? It's not, because if it's out of your hands, how can you do anything about it? It's out of your hands. It's out of your control. You can't control it. You can't change it. You can make it better. So this idea that a man and a leader should accept responsibility, must accept responsibility and the fault for everything that happens in his life, per se, is not something I'm creating right now. If you go study about self-improvement, if you go study about how to be a good leader, how to be a man, if you go read about successful men who accomplish things they're very, very proud of and they're actually serving people on earth, you're going to come across the same idea and the same concept. It's not a new mindset. I'm not coming up with this. And I'm rambling because usually I don't have a script that is very well elaborated, because I think that throws me off a little bit of what I want to say. But the main point here, and what I want to really tattoo in your soul, is that you must take responsibility. You must take accountability and accept the fault for everything that happens in your life, even if it's not your fault. If it's your fault, sure, that's clear. Everyone knows. Accept responsibility. Say, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. I'm going to change that. And if it's not your responsibility, if it's not your fault, but happens in your life, then accept responsibility, take accountability, and accept the fault anyways, because that's the only way you can actually take control of your own life. I hope that this changes your mindset. I know that I could have put this idea a little more in a more organized way. This is the first time I think I'm talking about this at length in a video. but I'm definitely going to try to explain this concept in a more harmonious way next time. And this is an extreme concept that I take to heart. I try to apply every day in my life. It's never someone else's fault. It's my fault. Even if it was their fault, I take responsibility, because then I also take control. I hope that makes sense to you. If I persuaded you to think like that, I'm sure your life will improve somehow, because you're also taking control. That means that you're in control of your time, you're in control of your decision, you're in control of your habits, you're in control of your choices as a man, and that's how you change your life. Not by wishing things were easier or different, by wishing you were better and higher. Because when you wish you were better, you can do something about it. When you wish everything around you was easier, you can't do anything about it, because it's other people's time and access and opportunity and money, and what can you do about? You can't control their free will, that's what I'm saying. It's their free will, not yours. But if it's your free will, if it's you, if it's your hands, if it's your mind, if it happens in your life, you can take control and you can change something. And that's how your life becomes better. And stop wishing things were easier. Start wishing you were better. Remember, you are what you think about. You are what you think. You reap what you sow. Pay the price today so you can pay any price in the future.